Hey cool kids, today I have the first digital speed paint of the new year, so that's fun. Originally this week's video was going to be E for the alphabet series, but a series of unfortunate events just dropped on Netflix like a week or so ago, and honestly the books were such an important part of my childhood. Like, I first started reading them when my parents bought me the second one on accident back in like 4th grade, and then I had to get the first one from the public library because my elementary school library wouldn't carry them because the librarian figured they weren't suitable for children or whatever, and I honestly just fell in love. A series of unfortunate events took the act of reading and made it an entire experience, from the narration to the dedication to the art, and I just adored it. Unfortunately, around middle school, the series stopped being cool, and because I was a self-conscious little bean, I didn't want people to know that I liked it, so I just sort of stopped checking them out from the library and then had to wait for my parents to get me the next book as like a Christmas or birthday present. I haven't actually finished the series yet. I think I'm up to book 8 because that's the newest one I own, but watching the show has definitely renewed my love for the books. I'm only on episode 3 so far, and I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the show yet. Like, on the one hand, I already know the universe, so the show doesn't have to work too hard to get me to fall back into it, but at the same time, I just really wanted to do the series justice. Like, I remember after the movie came out back in 2004, so many people refused to read the books because they figured they'd be awful, and it just made me so sad because you really can't judge a book by its movie, especially not with a series of unfortunate events. Like, while the story itself is fun, it's really the writing style that carries the books forward and makes them so enjoyable, and that's something that's very hard to translate well into a visual medium, so that's why I was a little nervous going into the show. I don't remember the earlier books that well, and that's actually made it more fun to watch the show because with each new episode there's this feeling of, oh, is this something that was originally in the books, or is this something they just added in? But overall, it's definitely following the original plotline a lot more closely than the movies did, which is a relief. I think the humor at times is a little heavy-handed, but I also feel like it's meant to be heavy-handed, and that's part of the feeling they're trying to go for with the show. Plus, it's made me laugh out loud a couple of times, so I guess I can't really fault it for that. The tone of the show does stray quite a bit from the books, but I think that's kind of necessary for it to successfully translate to television. I know with the movie, it played a lot more into the gloomy aspects of the series, whereas with the show, I feel like it's definitely trying to drum up the whole quirky, fun aspects of the books, and it's made for, at the very least, a very visually entertaining show. I think my favorite part of the show so far is the henchmen. Funnily enough, I don't think I liked them when I read the books because I really don't remember them that much. But in the show, I think they add this nice little bit of zest to both Olaf as a character and the show in general. I've heard some complaints over the casting, especially of Count Olaf, and I sort of get some of them. Like, I adore Neil Patrick Harris, and I think he's a wonderful actor, but I'm so used to seeing him in roles like Barney Stinson or Dr. Horrible that it's a little jarring to see him as Count Olaf, because I'm used to him playing these characters who are kind of jerks, but they have these redeeming qualities to them, and sometimes they get a redemption arc or two. And seeing him as a character like Count Olaf, who's just a straight-up villain, is a little weird. Unless there's some Count Olaf redemption arc, which I missed because I haven't read the later books, but I still enjoy MPH's portrayal as Count Olaf nonetheless. But enough ranting about the series, let's talk about the actual art. Brett Hellquist, the illustrator of the books, had such a fascinating style that I don't think I'd ever really be able to do it justice, but I sort of tried. I think had I either stuck to my own style or focused more heavily on Hellquist's style, then it would have turned into a more interesting piece. But in the end, I feel like the piece was a little lacking in something. I think Sunny came out cute, and I like how Claus looks, but I'm really not feeling Violet. It's funny that she strayed the furthest away from what I wanted, because I actually did a couple practice sketches of her at the beginning to sort of get a feel for the style, but then when I actually tried to translate it into the final product, I just couldn't get her face down. I think the nose is really what threw it off the most. I gave her a very swoopy nose when in the original illustration she has a very straight nose, and that threw off the whole symmetry of her face. And then there's Count Olaf, who didn't necessarily come out badly, but he does look a little more like Ebenezer Scrooge than Count Olaf, so whatever. For coloring, I originally planned to try something closer to the book's illustrations, but I couldn't quite get that textured, liney look the books have digitally, so I decided to stick with my usual coloring method. I considered coloring Count Olaf the same way I did the children, like you can see in my color key, but to be honest, I was really exhausted by that point. Every January, I take a bit of a break from digital art, and it's never really intentional, but I usually just need a break to recover from all the hecticness that is December and get the ball rolling on my resolutions, and this year wasn't any different. This piece took much more time and effort than it probably should have, and coloring 4 characters just felt like too much, so I decided to forego coloring on him, and it kinda looks cool. My original plan for this piece was to draw him as an opposing force that's always looming over their shoulders, and I think this actually helped pull that off better, although he does look a bit like a ghost. Maybe that's the true plot twist, that Count Olaf was a ghost the entire time and the true enemy is mortality. Or maybe he really does get a Barney Stinson redemption arc, where the writers dedicate an entire season to his character development and then just throw it away in the season finale for some dumb relationship to happen. Who knows? I mean, I guess I could know if I actually bothered to read the last few books, but that's irrelevant. All that aside, it's nice getting back into digital art again, and despite my complaining, I did enjoy drawing these characters who meant so much to me growing up. But I think that's all the time I have for now. I'm probably gonna go watch more of the show, so thanks for watching, hope to see you next time, and hope you liked it. Bye!